I'm Adrian Seet, and this is Nightline, the top stories. Unity government remains intact, no conflict amongst parties, says a Prime Minister. And cops collect 228 DNA samples in search for Zain Rayyan's killer. Thanks for joining us. Datuk Sri Sultan Ibrahim said the desperate attempts to orchestrate the collapse of the government by the opposition will not succeed because the unity government that it helmed by 18 component parties has solid support. Throughout the 1 year of leading the government, the Prime Minister admitted that never once have they been at loggerheads due to each party's policy differences. Speaking at a dialogue session during the closing ceremony of the Madani government 1-year anniversary program on Sunday, Anwar said his administration would not fall victim to Tebuk Atap, a Malay euphemism for a break-in, as the unity government has a strong and solid roof that will see through to the end of its term. The two Deputy Prime Ministers, Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and Datuk Sri Fadilah Yusof, also took part in the session.
Percobaan tebuk-tebuk ini berulang kali tiap bulan. Ada yang kata bulan Julai, tak jadi. Bulan Ogos, bulan September, bulan Oktober, bulan November. Kemudian ada yang kata Ogos. Sebenarnya dia ingat 31 Ogos tak ada, 32 Ogos tidak ada, 34 Ogos tidak ada. Jadi saya fikir jangan, insya-Allah kita ada kekuatan sekarang. Saya nak terus terang, saya tidak hadapi masalah. Ya bincang tentunya beza pendapat, ya. Dalam keluarga, dalam parti kita, di antara parti tentunya, tetapi tidak ada pertelagahan. Setahun saya dalam kerajaan dan kabinet Madani ini, belum ada pertelagahan yang atas dasar parti masing-masing. Jadi ini menyebabkan segala percobaan pembangkang yang desperate akan gagal.
Anwar said that based on the strengths of the component parties, the government would pay full attention to lifting Malaysia as a developed and great nation in the region. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister said the people's view that he worked alone in managing the country was not true, adding that the perception needed to be changed. He said every cabinet minister played a crucial role in navigating their respective ministries, and he is not directly involved. At the event, the Prime Minister also explained that the Madani concept introduced by the unity government is inclusive and encompasses the interests of all races, religions and regions within the country. Anwar said the concept did not contradict the beliefs of any race, even though it emphasized the importance of the Islamic teachings.
Kita harus ambil sikap terbuka untuk belajar dari semua pengalaman. Sebab itu dalam pandangan kita kupas Madani tentunya kerana majoriti orang Islam agama persekutuan, kita perkuatkan, tetapi hujah itu universal.
The Prime Minister also requested the country's multiracial population to not have any prejudice towards the Madani concept because it was designed for the good of all and the progress of the country. Meanwhile, the Madani government 1-year anniversary program will be expanded to other states, kicking off in Selangor in January.
Menteri Besar Selangor setuju supaya kita mulakan laporan ini di negeri Selangor. Dan saya baca berikutnya kita akan pindah ke negeri-negeri lain dengan kos yang lebih rendah sebab kita mempersiapkan laporan yang sama dengan mungkin sedikit penambahan dari kerajaan negeri.
Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, said that after Selangor, the program will be organised in other states, albeit at a lower cost, with some assistance from the respective state governments themselves. He said this when officiating the closing ceremony of the anniversary program on Sunday. At the event, the Prime Minister also presented a donation of 16.4 million ringgit collected at the public service level to the Palestinian People's Humanitarian Trust Fund. A total of 1,776 households have benefited from the Madani Afiat initiative that was implemented in 7 states to raise awareness about health issues amongst Malaysians. Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa said that a total of 2,863 residents aged 18 years and above in 5 states underwent comprehensive health screening through the door-to-door campaigns.
Biasanya dalam setiap program Madani Afiat, kita akan pergi ke beberapa buah rumah yang biasanya ratusan lah. Tengok keadaan dan berapa ramai petugas yang kita ada. Biasanya selama yang kita buat ini dalam sekitar 100 lebih ke 200 rumah.
She said of the total number of people screened, a total of 771 people or 26.93% were detected to have diabetes and 1,041 people or 36.36% have hypertension. Meanwhile, 417 people or 14.56% are at risk of diabetes and 695 people or 24.28% are at risk of hypertension. Dr. Zaliha was speaking to reporters after flagging off the Madani Afiat Mobilisation and Health Screening Team in Kuala Lumpur on Sunday. She said the Madani Afiat program this time involves 135 nurses and 50 pharmacists who will conduct health screenings across the capital. On Sunday, the screening involved a total of 380 houses, covering the Kampung Muhibah People's Housing Project or PPR, the Raya Permai PPR, Bukit Jalil PPR and Kuchai Lama Apartments. Health screenings were also conducted at the Salak Selatan Community Hall in collaboration with the Taman Salak Selatan Residents Association. On another matter, Dr. Zaliha advised the public to protect themselves by maintaining a high level of personal hygiene and wearing a face mask to curb the rise in COVID-19 cases during the festive season. The Unity government remains committed to paying special attention to youths, not only in urban areas but also those in rural areas and interiors nationwide. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said more importantly, there were several opportunities for youths aiming to better themselves and boost their wages through training and better job opportunities. Ahmad Zahid said this in his speech at the Gerakan Belia 4B Malaysia's 44th Annual General Meeting 2023 in Alor Gajah, Melaka on Sunday. His speech was read out by his political secretary, Datuk Megat Zulkarnain Omardin. The Deputy Prime Minister reiterated that there is great potential in technical and vocational education and training, or TVET, for the youth. This has been proven by the fact that there are many job opportunities for the graduates, including a high marketability rate of 92.5% in 2022. Ahmad Zahid, who is also the Minister of Rural and Regional Development, said this was important since the Malaysian manpower statistics for March and the first quarter of 2023 estimated the unemployment rate for youths aged between 15 and 24 to be 11.2%.
Usaha ini juga berlandaskan perancangan Malaysia ke-12 yang turut memfokuskan usaha untuk melahirkan modal insan berkualiti, berkemahiran tinggi dan diperhebat melalui agenda permekasaan TVET negara, di mana TVET sebagai pembangkit dasar membangunkan bakat di masa-masa yang akan datang.
Also present at the meeting was Gerakan Belia 4B Movement President Datuk Muhammad Ridwan Muhammad Ali. Ahmad Zahid said the Gerakan Belia 4B movement could promote the TVET agenda and even become the link between the government, industries and youths nationwide. He also expressed hope that youth leaders would play an active role in the process of bringing about the change.
Dia orang campak adik saya dalam sungai tu. Dia orang nampak adik saya menggelupur dalam tilam tu.
Hukuman gantung sampai mati dikenakan terhadap tertuduh kes bunuh sedangkan mayat mangsa tidak dijumpai.
Kat situlah saya baru perasan yang arwah ni diperangkap.
Memang tak ada. Adik saya dah tak ada di dunia ni. Tapi dia orang cuma dapat hukuman sebanyak 7 tahun.
The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riyatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah on Sunday graced the unveiling of a memorial of 2 British warships, HMS Repulse and HMS Prince of Wales in Teluk Cempedak in Pahang. Now, the event that was held on the 82nd anniversary of the sinking of the ships was also graced by the Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Aziza Amina Maimuna Iskandaria. Also present at the event were British High Commissioner to Malaysia Ailsa Terry CMG, the granddaughter of HMS Prince of Wales's Captain John Leach, Henrietta Wood, Pahang state representatives, the Malaysian Armed Forces senior officers and foreign dignitaries.
It's a symbol of peace, it's a symbol of hope, it's a symbol of remembrance, and it marks long years of friendship between the UK and Malaysia, and I can't imagine a better.
The memorial also consists of an auxiliary anchor, believed to be from one of the ships, which was gifted to Malaysia by the United Kingdom and displayed at the Army Museum in Port Dickson, Negeri Sembilan before. HMS Repulse and HMS Prince of Wales were part of the British Naval Squadron Force Z that was tasked with intercepting a Japanese invasion fleet during the Second World War. However, the battleship HMS Prince of Wales and battlecruiser HMS Repulse, which was sailing without air escort, sank 61 nautical miles off the coast of Kuantan on December 10, 1941, after intense air raids by the Japanese bombers and torpedo aircrafts. The Johor ruler Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar plans to revive the high-speed rail HSR Link project between Kuala Lumpur and Singapore that was cancelled in 2021. Sultan Ibrahim was reported as saying that he has some ideas and an approach to reinstate the project. In an exclusive interview with the Straits Times Singapore, Sultan Ibrahim also emphasised the need to align the HSR project between Kuala Lumpur and Singapore so that the border crossing passes through Forest City, a troubled property development in Johor. Previously, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim expressed an openness to revive the HSR project, but it will not fund the 350-kilometre line, last estimated to cost more than 100 billion ringgit. On July the 12th, it was reported that the revived implementation of the HSR project would be fully funded by the private sector through My HSR Corporation Sdn Bhd. Forensic investigations into the cyber attack on the social security organisation SOCSO will include looking into elements of commercial crime and the involvement of certain parties. SOCSO Group CEO Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Azman Aziz Muhammad said the agency agreed to file a police report following an internal forensic investigation that had found elements of commercial crime in the attack. In a statement on Sunday, Azman pledged to bring the mastermind of the cyber attack to justice, adding that SOCSO will not compromise when it comes to the protection of personal data, which is of paramount importance to the nation. He also said that SOCSO has taken 4 major steps to deal with the cyber attack, which was discovered at around 7 p.m. on December the 2nd. These included activating the Business Continuity Plan, strengthening SOCSO's ICT system, conducting an internal forensic investigation and implementing the Communications Plan. He said detailed information about the data stolen and posted on the dark web could not be disclosed yet, as the investigations are ongoing. Azman said SOCSO will continue to develop its IT infrastructure over time and will adopt best practices to ensure that there are no loopholes in the system that can be manipulated by hackers. The police have collected 228 DNA samples from the residents of Idaman apartment Damansara Damai as part of the investigation to search for the murderer of 6-year-old autistic boy Zain Rayyan Abdul Matin. Selangor Police Chief Dato' Hussein Omar Khan said the large-scale operation began on Saturday and involved house-to-house checks. As of Sunday morning, he said a total of 5,628 people and 2,484 housing units had already been checked. The rainy weather on Sunday morning slowed down the search operation and the handing over of evidence to the police. Some 278 police officers and personnel from various units were involved in the operation. In the meantime, police have deployed additional sniffer dogs from the K9 units of the Bukit Aman and KLIA District Police Headquarters to assist in checks on a storage area as well as houses near where Zain Rayyan's body was found. After being reported missing on Tuesday noon in Damansara Damai, the child was found dead in a stream near his residence about 200 meters from his apartment block in Idaman apartment Damansara Damai. Meanwhile, the deceased grandfather, 55-year-old Zahari Muhammad Ribah, when met at their home in Idaman apartment, denied that the death of his eldest grandson could be due to revenge. According to Zahari, his son Zaim Ikwan and daughter-in-law Ismanira Abdul Manaf have lived in the apartment for the past 3 years. He said their daily routine is to go to work and come back home and only know the neighbours living in front of their apartment, adding that they harbour no grudges against anyone. Philippines and China trade accusations over South China Sea collision. News from the foreign front when we return. Welcome back. More than 100 Palestinians were killed and dozens of others were injured on Sunday as Zionist air and artillery attacks continued on the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian Health Ministry said there is no safe place to go to the besieged territory as violent raids continue across the occupied territories in the last 24 hours. The bodies of at least 133 Palestinians who died in Zionist strikes were brought to hospitals across the Gaza Strip, 45 of whom were confirmed in Al-Aqsa Hospital in central Gaza. Zionist warplanes launched simultaneous raids on the Nusrat, Al-Maghazi and Al-Zawaida refugee camps. The regime also carried out a series of violent raids on a stretch of areas south of Khan Yunis, with dozens of raids targeting the road between Khan Yunis and Rafah. Meanwhile, at an emergency board meeting on Sunday, the World Health Organization chief described how the impact of the Israel-Hamas conflict on Gaza's healthcare sector has been catastrophic, saying conditions were ideal for the spread of deadly diseases. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus told the 34-member board that it would be all but impossible for the WHO to improve the situation given the ongoing violence. However, a motion is being reviewed by the board proposed by Afghanistan, Morocco, Qatar and Yemen, which demands safe passage for medical personnel and their supplies and tasks the WHO with securing funding to rebuild hospitals.
But it's stating the obvious to say that the impact of the conflict on health is catastrophic. There are worrying signals of epidemic diseases, including bloody diarrhea and jaundice, and there have also been reports of high levels of diarrheal diseases and respiratory infections. The risk is expected to worsen with the deteriorating situation and approaching winter conditions. Gaza's health system is on its knees and collapsing. Only 14 hospitals out of the original 36 are even partially functional.
The Philippines and China traded accusations on Sunday over a collision of their vessels near a disputed shoal in the South China Sea as tensions over claims in the vital waterway escalate. The Philippines said that China had targeted Philippine civilian supply vessels in the Second Thomas Shoal in the Spratly Islands, a flashpoint between the two countries. It also accused China of firing water cannons and ramming resupply vessels and a Coast Guard ship, causing serious engine damage to one. China's Coast Guard, in the meantime, accused the Philippine boat of deliberately colliding with the Chinese vessel after disregarding multiple stern warnings. The incident came a day after the Philippines accused China of using war cannons to obstruct 3 of its vessels in what it called illegal and aggressive actions. Severe storms and tornadoes in the United States have left at least 6 people dead on Saturday, while causing extensive damage and leaving tens of thousands without power. According to officials, 6 people were killed when the tornado made landfall in Montgomery County and Nashville, with 23 people admitted to hospitals. More than 80,000 people in Tennessee were left without power, as multiple trees, power lines, and houses were drastically damaged. Officials have urged people to stay off the roads as emergency services were now responding to the situation in different areas. The National Weather Service had issued a tornado emergency alert earlier on Saturday afternoon for several Nashville suburbs and their surrounding areas. Ishan extended their lead before the end of the halftime whistle. Ko Min-woo added the third on the hour mark, with Bruno Suzuki adding PDRM's fourth 2 minutes later. Khalal Evenaskam pulled 1 goal back for Kelantan in the 63rd minute before Suzuki struck the 5th goal for PDRM a minute later. The visitors scored their second goal through Leonardo Rolon. in the 72nd minute before PDRM's Iqmal Harun added the 6th in the 73rd. PDRM continued to pile in the goals, with Suzuki finding the net again in the 90th minute to seal a comfortable 7-2 win. With the win, PDRM are in 8th place with 37 points, while Kelantan remains at the last spot with 8 points. And still on football, the German Bundesliga. Eintracht Frankfurt routed Bayern Munich 5-1 to deal the 11-time defending champions their first defeat of the season. Take a look. Frankfurt's Omar Marmoush opened their account in the 12th minute, drilling in on the rebound after Fares Chaibi hit the crossbar. Eridina Mbimbi doubled their lead after the half-hour mark by jinking past two defenders before stabbing a shot past a hesitant Manuel Neuer. Hugo Larsson made it 3-0 5 minutes later, benefiting from a Joshua Kimmich error. Kimmich managed to pull one back for Bayern before half-time, but Frankfurt put the ball in the net again in the 50th minute to make it 4-1, with Mbimbi beating keeper Neuer. Ansgar Naf put the icing on the cake for the home side when he slotted home to make it 5-1 on the hour. With the result, Bayern remains in second place on 32 points, while Frankfurt stay on the 7th place with 21 points. After this breather, man suspected of parents' murder remanded for a week. Welcome back. The man suspected of murdering his parents during an argument in their home at Kampung Sungai Penchala on Saturday night has been remanded for 7 days. Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Dato' Alauddin Abdul Majid said the 42-year-old suspect who was arrested at the Penchala Sprint Highway Tunnel was taken to the Brickfields Police Headquarters and tested positive for 3 types of drugs. He said the remand application was made on Sunday and approved by the Kuala Lumpur Magistrate for 7 days until December the 16th.
Siasatan di tempat kejadian juga dengan bantuan forensik, kita telah menjumpai beberapa alat-alat yang kita percaya ataupun senjata yang kita percaya telah pun digunakan dalam perlakuan jenayah ni. Antaranya adalah mata pisau, hulu pisau, helmet, meja kayu bulat, batang kayu, serpihan kayu dan juga sepasang kasut yang dipercayai di milik suspek yang ditinggalkan.
Alauddin said the couple was found lying in a pool of blood on the floor of their living room, believed to have been killed as a result of being stabbed multiple times. Initial investigations found that both victims were aged 72 and 82, and the father was a Petaling Jaya City Council pensioner while the mother was a housewife. The suspect was also found to have 9 records of drug-related offences from January 2016 to November 2023. The 2 bodies have been sent to the University Malaya Medical Centre PPUM for post-mortem, and the case is now being investigated under the Penal Code for murder. As we conclude this edition of Nightline, let's take a look as Crimean Muslims gathered on Saturday to pray at the newly opened Cathedral Mosque of Crimea, which took 8 years to build in Simferopol. With that, I'm Adrian Seet. Thank you for tuning in and have a good week ahead.